My name is Katie Tomberlin, and I'm from Carteret County. This is Community Rising, Shoreside's environmental stories, broadcasting from the Working Narrative Studio. Coming up next are stories from coastal North Carolina.
Nature boasts some of the most incredible sights a person can see in their lifetime, and a large majority of those come from our oceans. If you've ever had the opportunity to look at pictures or videos of the Great Barrier Reef off the Australian coast, you know it's quite an amazing part of our environment. But did you know that here off the coast of North Carolina, we also have beautiful reefs? Well, we do, except their creation had a little helping hand from humans. These man-made reefs are known as artificial reefs, and today we are going to learn about their history, creation, and why reefs are so important to ocean environments and our fishing industry. Let's take a dive into these underwater ecosystems with Jordan Byrum of the North Carolina Division of Marine Fisheries in Morehead City.
I'm Jordan Byrum. I am originally from Tarboro, North Carolina. I'm 29 years old. I've been working for the Division of Marine Fisheries now for about 3.5 years in the Habitat and Enhancement section. So we manage artificial reefs, some of the oyster rehabilitation efforts throughout North Carolina, and a host of other things.
It sounds like the Artificial Reef Program of North Carolina has been going on for quite some time now. It has quite an extensive history, beginning small with community members and then becoming a very large managed program by the state of North Carolina.
So the Reef program kind of started, I guess, in its infancy in the 60s, really, and it was individuals, it was fishing clubs that were going out, and they would go and just put stuff on the bottom. I hesitate to call it trash, but it was refrigerators and washing machines and cars and things like that. And this was, very, very effective, but those materials didn't really last very long. So this went on for a number of years, and the state kind of took control of these reefs in the 70s, late 70s, I think. And so now all of the reef sites are actually managed by the state of North Carolina, by Marine Fisheries. Since then, we've kind of evolved kind of our strategy of, rather than just as a disposal ground for whatever type of stuff somebody might have and wants to donate, we've gotten very, very kind of specific in the types of materials we use for a couple of reasons. One, we don't want to do any damage to the environment. For instance, like when we sink boats, tugboats and ships and things like that, there's a very, very strict kind of cleaning, strict guidance on what needs to be cleaned and what needs to be removed. Insulation. There's a huge document from the EPA and the Coast Guard, about how these vessels should be prepared.
It's amazing that the Artificial Reef Program in North Carolina had so much help from the community and state to get started. The Carolinas are well known for many shipwrecks along the coastline, dating back to the early 1700s with the infamous Queen Anne's Revenge. So what constitutes the natural and artificial reefs along North Carolina?
So, the natural reefs here in North Carolina are mostly limestone rock-based. It's some limestone deposit, some ledge that's been uncovered and has fish living on it and corals and things like that. Artificial reefs come in many different forms. Most of our reefs are all man-made stuff. We do have a lot of wrecks here in North Carolina, but we typically try to put these reefs in areas that don't have any other kind of natural habitat there, or other accidental shipwreck type habitat. We like to use concrete materials, bridge material, and at the end of it's had some voids or it's cracked or something like that. It doesn't really have any use as concrete pipe anymore, but it's great habitat, great places, great stuff to put on reefs. We don't build reefs, on natural bottom, natural live bottom, and inshore when we're building reefs, we make sure we're not building those on areas that already have oysters growing on them, or has seagrass or anything like that. So we're trying to put these things in areas that are basically otherwise just kind of featureless, good hard sand bottom typically.
After listening to the extensive lists and guidelines of which man-made products can be used to create artificial reefs, it is very apparent to the average resident of coastal North Carolina that sustainability is a huge focus in creating these ocean habitats. With 68 artificial reefs spread along the coast, understanding each location's surrounding ecosystem is crucial for each installation.
The idea behind artificial reefs is that we go and put materials out there, and those materials are colonized by fish species. They're also home to a variety of corals and bryozoans and other sessile organisms and crabs and lobsters and all kinds of things. So by going and putting lots and lots of material out, basically creates habitat and supports fish populations in areas where otherwise they wouldn't exist. For instance, most of our inshore reefs are actually classified. They're artificial reefs. They have a special designation as an oyster sanctuary. And so on those reefs, we want to choose materials that are good habitat for oysters to settle on. Offshore, the kind of suitability, the things that are too big, like a big boat in shallow water. We can also have things that are too small. Small pieces of concrete pipe, that stuff hits the bottom, and it's good for a little while, but we have hurricanes, and sand moves back and forth, and things get covered up and things get uncovered. So we want to choose materials that are good, stable, durable materials on these reefs.
These man-made creations are quite amazing in and of themselves, but they are so much more than some random materials sitting on the ocean floor. Not only do these artificial reefs benefit the environment, but they also strengthen fish populations across North Carolina. From oysters to speckled trout to flounder or even Spanish mackerel, these artificial reefs provide a flourishing diversity of fish species. And when there are lots of fish close to the coast, there's coastal residents that are eager and ready to go fishing.
So our inshore reefs that are in Pamlico Sound, most of those are designated as oyster sanctuaries. So they're supporting oyster populations, but they also support a large number of inshore fish populations, a variety of species. As you move out to some of the near shore stuff, so I would say I define near shore as things that are inside state waters, so inside of 3 nautical miles. And so that tends to actually, the fish species that are on those tends to really kind of vary kind of north-south. Really, stuff that's up off the Outer Banks, they catch triggerfish, they catch black sea bass, they do some king mackerel fishing, Spanish mackerel fishing, they catch some tautog up there. And then as you move further offshore, it really kind of depends on water depth as far as what species. Tunas, wahoos, amberjack, grouper and snapper, but those tend to be out in deeper water, 100 feet or deeper. Our primary goal in the reef program is to provide fishing and diving opportunities, across coastal North Carolina. If you were to go out and go by any of our reefs that are close to the inlets, and on a pretty summer day, it's not uncommon to see 20 or 30 or 40 boats out at that reef site. So recreational anglers are on these places all the time. They're close to the inlet. You don't need a massive boat to be able to get to a lot of these sites. When you go over to the kind of dive shops, they're big proponents of ships because they run dive charters to these things. I mean, in addition to being something cool to dive, they're also great places to fish. So I mean, these things, it's hard to put a number on it, but do have a large impact. This is a big business in North Carolina. It's something that's really important. The plan is for us to go back out and solicit input. Kind of in each region of North Carolina, solicit input about where people want material and what kind of materials they want. Do they want ships? Do they want concrete pipe? And basically, let the public guide what we're doing and where we're doing it. I mean, that's why we do this. That's why we have this program.
A special thank you to Mr. Jordan Byrum and the North Carolina Division of Marine Fisheries for allowing this story to be possible. These beautiful artificial reefs along our coastline are incredible feats that connect nature and humanity together, so I highly suggest you go check them out. For more information about these reefs, go to tinyurl.com/ncreefs. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Community Rising, Shoreside's Environmental Stories. This podcast is a special project of Shoresides and Working Narratives. Do you have a story from our coast that you would like to share? Contact us at info@shoresides.org. Thank you for listening.